You copy notes off a whiteboard. A thing that calls itself a teacher scrawls in an incoherent hand. Dates and equations and interpretations of texts they barely mentioned 2 weeks ago. Your hand aches as you fill up another notebook with illegible and nonsensical notes, while the thing that calls itself a teacher takes a break from jabbering on to scream at a student who took a break from writing. You're not sure how long you've been in this class. The minutes or hours or day have slipped by. The only marked passage of time is the stacks of notebooks full to the brim with useless information. You decide to look back through them, but scream in agony as all of the notes simply read, "Greetings from the Fifth River. I am the aeons torn, the great distortion, the infinite gyre, the promised end, the ceaseless hunger, the butcher of truth and the voice of nightmares, and I'm your host, Ateht. Right now, I'm playing ping pong with someone who looks like me from the future. Now I have some plant keeping to catch up on. Firstly, the Div 2 a little bit formal but not all that formal dance is coming up. Time to muster up that courage and ask that special person out. Secondly, the 8th grade science class has started asking questions. They are asking too many questions. They have wonders no construct of sinew and bone should trouble themselves with. Their mouths bleed with worries and with an unknowable thirst for knowledge. Finally, a book fair is coming to the school. Ignore it at all costs. Forget that I mentioned it. Forget that we had a third announcement. Book fairs are a myth. I'm sorry that we don't have a third announcement. Today is a slow day. And now, our top story for tonight. The massive tree lizard Gigi, which currently resides in the nature garden, is excreting a strange sap, the likes of which mortals have never seen before. It glows in iridescent shades. Its colors are the flavor of dreams and excitement of waking up on holiday morning as a child. Some folks have dubbed this color dreamscape, and are attempting, and failing miserably, to capture it in painting. Here is a tip, dear listeners. The secret is to use promises instead of pigments to color your paint. The tree houses that have been built by future students in the branches of Lizard Gigi have been affected by the sap in an unforeseen way. They are reciting poetry to each other. Some are romantic, some recount amazing battles in ancient history and yet to come, and others are just plain weird. A number of these houses are engaging in poetry battles, the loser of which have been thrown out of Lizard Gigi and lose their sentience. Some houses have been seen crying over the loss of sentience of other houses, while the others have been seen laughing maniacally. Currently, in this instant, as I am broadcasting this over the school's PA system and you're listening to it, we do not know why Lizard Gigi is producing this sap. The tree has cried before, most notably after the death of Nature Club, but those tears were perfectly normal. It has never secreted sap like this. Those nerds down in the Div 3 science room have been testing it with their microscopes and graduated cylinders and stuff. Ew, nerd things. A group of students have also started eating the sap and trying to guess what it is. Currently, 13 of the 15 students are in a coma, and the other 2 are in a debate about whether or not they are in a coma. The side of "we are in a coma" is winning. Our second story for tonight: there is an infestation of sky geese in this school. They appeared yesternight morning, honking and squawking and interrupting the end of my broadcast. It was very rude of them. At first there were only 5 sky geese. Now there appears to be 14 2/3. They are reproducing at a rate that those nerds in the science room could tell you, but I'm guessing it's like 14 2/3 sky geese every night. But I don't know. I'm not a nerd. The sky geese infestation has been a problem for not just me, but also many students. They have consistently stolen food from students during lunches, and they once attacked a student after the student reportedly said something rather nice about the sky geese's mother. Most notably, however, is that the sky geese are interrupting the sentient houses in Lizard Gigi's poetry battles. Students will try to decompress from their night after school by watching houses battle to the death with poetry, but these damnable sky geese keep interrupting it, and thus the students can't relax. One student, erstwhile Gershba, has declared, "This ends now. The students of 4 Rivers are at war with the sky geese." She then raised her fist and screamed with the fury of every student and thing that calls itself a teacher and eldritch horror who hates these sky geese. History, math, and tribs classes in Div 2 and 3 have been put on hold to construct a trebuchet in the Plotkin field to fire upon the sky geese and end their horrid reign of terror. Ammunition was originally a concern for erstwhile Grobsbis, but things that call themselves teachers have offered their filing cabinets to be melted down and used as ammunition. More on this story to follow as the sky geese continue to be annoying, but I would like to buy a muffin, so it's time for an ad read. Greetings from the Fifth River is happy to be sponsored by Eating the Pages of Your Books. Have you ever fallen in love with a book? The type of situation where you tear through it and decide to read it again, then again, and you can never seem to get enough? Well, have I got the solution for you. Eat the pages. Shove those bits of paper and ink right down your mouth hole. Here's a quote from a satisfied customer.
"I love The Great Gatsby, and now I love myself because I know the pages are in me."
Greetings from the Fifth River is a little sad to be sponsored by nostalgia. Remember the days before the blood sun, when you could sing and dance with your friends without a care in the world, a space and time where all we had to worry about was world wars, climate change, a rise in fascism, and the crushing weight of a now dead system? Well, nostalgia can bring you back. Why mourn our rotting husk of a planet when you can live in what once was? Forget your life. Forget this world just as its God did. Embrace your memories. There is nothing waiting for you here. And now, a PSA regarding caves that lie. Getting lost isn't a new experience for Rune. Zay has been wandering since she was young, down long and twisting corridors, through nonsensical conversations and across rooms that forgot to exist. But she has never been lost like this before. She has never been in a cave like this. A cave that distorts and warps, and when Zay turns around, there are paths and water that she never could have crossed. The cave echoes with notes and voices that haven't been spoken since the corpse at the center of the galaxy began to rot. Zay wants to curl up in a ball and sob. Zay wants to stop looking, stop searching, stop hoping to find someone she refuses to admit is dead, because he's not. He can't be. He had to have hid in this cave or went into a house or something. He couldn't have just sat in the sun. He was too smart. The thing that calls itself her father can't be all that's left of him. They will not let themselves admit that the thing with 2 long legs, with eyes that twist and move and break, with teeth that howl and whistle and sing songs in a language that burns to hear, is all that's left of her father. The moonlight trickles through the cave. Zay wants to keep diving. She wants to keep moving. She knows that if she doesn't take this opportunity, the cave will swallow her alive. So Zay walks out, crying tears for her father, crying tears that her father will never get to cry. Crying tears that her father got to see the sun in a way Zay will never get to. The sap of Lizard Gigi is drying up. By the counts of those nerds up in the science room, approximately 200 gallons of pure Lizard Gigi sap was produced, of which approximately 130 gallons remain. Some was eaten by students, some was used to attempt to create dreamscape paint, of which they've still failed, and some was used to try to make Lizard Gigi syrup, which gave the first person who tried to drink it a heart attack on the spot. The nerds are still debating over what caused Lizard Gigi to start and stop producing sap so abruptly. Some popular theories are temperature regulation, attempting to contact a distant god, defending against bugs, expelling excess moisture, or as an insult to the people who claimed that Lizard Gigi wasn't an actual tree and doesn't produce sap. The sap production stopping also sadly means the sentience of the sentient houses leaves. There were signs of this. Their poetry changed from light-hearted and energetic to sad and mournful. Their movements became sluggish and weak, slowly crawling from branch to branch instead of hopping between them. Eventually, they all creaked to a slow and melancholic end, all reciting a poem of death in unison. To commemorate their lives, a bench was built under Lizard Gigi with their final poem carved into it. The bench is placed perfectly under the leaves of Lizard Gigi, so the rays of the blood sun will never drip down onto it. It was made of the wood of the houses that had lost their poetry battles, for they were fools and didn't deserve to be commemorated. Or at least that was the farmhouse opinion. As for the sky geese, Trebuchet production has finished, and it is firing beautiful metal balls at those sky geese. I can see them from my ping pong table being shot out of the air, and I am smiling ear to ear to ear. The sky geese have been a blight on this school for hours, and now we are free from them. Huzzah, huzzah, what a frabjous day. Callooh, callay. Apologies for that emotional outburst, dear listeners. I normally keep my emotions calm, but the sky geese just get on my nerves. Killing the geese was a surprisingly contentious affair. A group that call themselves SFA*P, or Students for Animal Protection, claims that killing the sky geese is unjust. They're just animals, or at least were at one point just animals. How would you feel if you were just vibing and liquid metal was fired at you from a trebuchet? Their lead spokesperson, Jed Dej J, said. This sentiment did not affect erstwhile Gurjbog, who said, "Sky geese aren't animals and haven't been for many years." Despite the protests of the SFA*P, the sky geese continue to be shot out of the sky with a trebuchet. Dear listeners, I would very much like to point out that I do not know what it would be like to be fired on by a trebuchet, and even if I were to try to be fired upon by a trebuchet, I still wouldn't know what it would feel like. And that brings our broadcast night to a close. I have been the Aeons Torn, the Great Distortion, the Infinite Gyre, the Promised End, the Ceaseless Hunger, the Butcher of Truth and the Voice of Nightmares, and your host Ateht. And I wait with bated breaths for the next night that I can say greetings from the Fifth River. Greetings from the Fifth River is created and produced by Finks. Hello, that's me. I would like to give a shout out to the local store, The Imaginary Bookshop. It doesn't sponsor me anything, I just think it's neat. I would also like to give a shout out to Anya, Tim, Daggers, and Ren for their continuous support of not only this project, but my writing as a whole. Finally, I'd like to appreciate Miss Crosby, Mr. Letterer, and Chelsea for being teachers willing to support me in this project. The title card is made by Tim, the outro you're listening to right now, and the intro music are The Mechanisms Leitmotif by The Mechanisms and arranged by Snow Possum. Have a nice night, dear listeners!